This is the meeting of the Kubernetes Special Interest Group for CSI. And today is January 31, 2018. Let's go to the agenda and get started. First on the agenda are any PRs that need attention. Looks like we've got one PR from Felipe. And this one is about the CSI volume attributes, first class. I took a look at it yesterday. It looks like the correct approach to me. It looks like Vlad has a few comments on it as well. Is there anything in particular you wanted feedback on, Felipe?
Yeah, exactly. First, thank you for reviewing it. Next, what exactly does regenerating the API code means? I imagine there's some auto-generated thing on top of these structs I changed?
Yes. Vlad, would you be able to walk Felipe through that process?
Absolutely.
Cool.
I'll put some comment in the PR.
Cool.
Okay.
What needs to be done.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Any other PRs that we want to talk about? All right, cool.
I saw the comment on mine. I'll take care of it to do.
Cool. Bugs, any updates here, Luis? Or
yeah, actually, I'm working on all that stuff today, so I'll take care of that today, actually.
okay. Sounds good. And any other updates people want to give? Otherwise, we can go straight through the task list.
Just a quick update. I'm testing driver registrar with Travis, unit test, and then pushing to Quay right now as we speak.
Nice.
Automatically.
Sweet. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to add, or we'll just go down the list? All right, let's go down the list then. So first up, mount propagation to beta. I don't know if Jan is here. Probably not. Okay, we'll sync up with him during the storage SIG. Next up is moving the volume attachment API to beta. I took another pass at this yesterday, and it looks good to me. I approved it. Next steps for this PR are to get approval from the API approvers. And that should be it. Moving CSI volume source to beta. Believe you're working on this, Vlad?
Yeah, I'm actually working on it right now so I can open the PR. Basically, again, this portion of it is just putting some comments.
Yep.
Saying that it's beta.
Cool.
And then so one question I do have for you though. There are places where I can go ahead and put the gate, change the gate. Should I go ahead and do that, or just wait for the other side?
Wait. I think we should wait for. Well, I think we should wait for the volume attachment API to go to beta, and then do the gates.
Okay.
I guess you could scratch out the item from here. Oops. And then just take it up as a separate item.
No problem.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Next up is volume attributes to first class. Felipe is working on that. Looks like PR is in progress, and Vlad will sync up with him on how to do the auto-generated code part for that. Node authorizer is in. Node authorizer for beta. Based on the Nick Wren's original PR, it looks like there may be nothing that we need to do here. So we'll wait for that to merge and then decide whether we should scratch this or not.
Okay.
The CSI credentials, I approved the PR on the container storage interface side. Thank you to Sergey for putting that out. Once that gets merged and approved, we need to start on the Kubernetes side of thing, which is going to be much larger. I still have a to-do to look through, to think through the design and work with Sergey on that. Next item is registration of socket with kubelet device plugin mechanism. Chakri posted updates offline. I don't know if Chakri is here. Let's see. But basically he mentioned he mentioned that the PR for this is out and needs to be reviewed.
Hi, Saad, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, yeah. So I reviewed the PR. So one concern over there is the way they're doing it is they expect to do a register call to the plugin. And we are trying to expose the CSI socket directly for the registration, and we don't have a register call.
Yeah.
So,
so I think this was one of the drawbacks that I was concerned about. Coming up with a gRPC kubelet negotiation method. I'll take a look at it. What do you think about the registration call? Do you think it's something that we might be able to push into CSI?
It might be too tough, right? Because even like not only for CSI, now every driver who has to work with Kubernetes now needs a register function, right? So instead of that, we might have to have a different ways of registering the plugin. So have a one manager, one way would be callback, which could be calling this identity plugin.
This would be a CO specific mechanism, right? It wouldn't be a CSI.
Yeah. So so even like if you're able to push into all the COs also, then for all the plugins also it's going to be painful. So it's not going to work. So, but if you have a callback mechanism for registration, and the register API can be depending on the callbacks, right? Like for something like a CSI kind of plugins, then you can say that I want a callback to actually do the identity info, and based upon that, you can do it, right? So it can't be directly.
I think this goes back to the original designs that were proposed. So one was to have kubelet probe directories and figure out what volumes or what plugins exist. And the other was to have an external plugin register with kubelet. The preference that I had was probing, because it allows a little bit more robustness in terms of things like when kubelet crashes, it can just immediately come up and scan directories and figure out what all the plugins are that are available. Versus if we require the external plugins to come in and register themselves with kubelet, they may not necessarily know when to re-register, and maybe.
Actually, one gap I see today in the design is when you do a registration, the register function is a common function. It cannot be a common function. It has to be like a kubelet has different components, right? CSI is going to be another component. And the way I'm reading it is CSI needs to have its own manager. And the manager will actually use the same probing logic to actually go and find out the drivers, figure out the drivers. But when it calls, why does it need to call a register? It can actually call a callback function. In this case, it will call a CSI callback function, and the callback function will do the necessary registration for it. In this case, call identity.
Sorry, so are you suggesting keeping a model where kubelet is still scanning for directories?
Yes.
But and the difference is once it discovers a plugin socket, it will. How is it going to initiate the registration?
So the registration will be a callback function. So when you call the plugin manager, right? When you are calling the plugin manager, from what I understand, is not a single plugin manager for the entire kubelet. Am I right?
I haven't looked at the PR. I'm not sure.
That's the way I'm figuring out. I had a question too, because on Slack, actually, I haven't heard the reply. If it's going to be a separate plugin manager for each component, even for CSI, it's going to be a separate plugin manager, then you can actually have a CSI specific registration function. And the registration function, in our case, can actually do identity call to the plugin and do the registration, right?
Yes.
Identity or the probe or whatever.
My question then is, what exactly would this look like? So once kubelet scans the directory and it finds a socket, what concrete is the next step?
So the next step today, all it does is it goes and opens a gRPC connection and calls a register.
Okay.
So why do you need to make a gRPC call? Make the gRPC call pluggable.
Okay.
So, and what that means is that for the CSI case, it's going to call the register callback function, which we initially do, which will initially set up the
Sorry,
plugin
how do you
manager.
make that pluggable? How would you?
So when you create a plugin manager, actually you need to say that for the CSI plugins, I need this registration function.
Ah, okay. Got it.
So
And
then
so
you get a
basically
callback.
what you're saying is for each type of volume plugin, the volume plugin gets to define what
Yes.
the initial gRPC registration method looks like. And
Exactly.
okay.
Yes, and then we can implement our own plugin specific logic, because it's going to be the same for GPUs. It might be different for NVMe devices. It might be different for any kind of resources. Is going to be different, right?
Yeah.
So the programming logic
So
will be
I
completely
guess the concrete argument here is that in order to support a new type or a new class of volume plugin or of plugin, there will necessarily be changes that need to go into Kubelet, and Kubelet needs to be able to understand how to talk to these new plugin class, and therefore it's okay to hard code that into the Kubelet for each
yes,
new class.
yes,
And
and there will be two. There will be two classes of plugins. One which require explicit registration, like CSI,
yeah.
and some of them which doesn't require. They want to be
So it could be a
generic, right?
no-op.
In that case, they can have their own register function. The register function can be a default. So if you don't specify a callback, you'll always go with the default register function. So that keeps us to the existing behavior. But if you have something like a CSI which requires a register function, then it will call the register function.
Yeah. Okay, that seems very reasonable to me. Go ahead and push that. I think you might have already commented. If you need my support on it, let me know.
Yeah, I will do that.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is great progress. This is one of the big important tasks for this quarter, so I'm glad we're making progress on this. Thanks, Chakri. Next up, file system is done. Improve CSI version handling in tests. I've reviewed this PR. I believe it was in the process of getting merged.
Sorry to interrupt. So I have to jump onto another call today. It's like a bit crazy. So
cool, no problem. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, thank you, Saad. Bye.
Looks like it just merged, so thank you for that, Luis. We will turn that green. Next up is enabling end-to-end tests, which Luis plans for next week.
I didn't need to add the to-do since the LGTM is there. I mean, the to-do list you gave me. Maybe I can create a new one, or what do you want to do? That got merged to PR 58888888.
Sorry, what about this?
You added a comment saying.
Yeah, the to-do. Could you just open an issue to track it, and then you can throw it into the bug section of our bug tracker?
You got it.
That way we don't miss it. I just want to make sure that, or you could make a generic like bug that says make sure that CSI we swap from unsigned int to inf once we move to 0.2.
Yeah, all of them need to change. Yeah, not just that. Perfect.
Cool. Thank you. Mark this green. Enable end-to-end tests for beta. We're going to revisit this after beta objects are in and their feature gates are ready. So there's a dependency. Internal components, kubelet should probe. We're waiting for this until this is clarified in CSI. Change volume attachment from polling to watch. I reviewed this PR yesterday. I believe one more piece of feedback I had for Lynn was to do the same thing that he was doing on the delete, apply that to the attach side. I'll have to take another look and see if he got to that. Looks like he's had some changes since. Next up is considering moving from Docker to Quay. Luis, any updates here?
Yeah, in a few seconds, we should have the Travis pushing on driver registrar to Quay. I just want to bring up that I have been the only one that's pushed 2 different repos into Quay. I should have somebody else try it out with their loggings. And the second thing is that to me, as soon as I push something, it automatically goes private. So you have to go into settings and make it public, the repo. Okay, so just letting you know.
Is there any way to change that, or is that just the way Quay works?
It could be because I have still my account from CoreOS way back. But it could be that other people's, I don't know. It's just, that's the way it works for me. So.
Okay.
Even your account from Red Hat, right?
From no, when I was working at CoreOS before, which was not Red Hat.
I was just teasing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They keep following me around.
All right. Topology is still a big to-do on me. I'm hoping to get to this week. Block device support. I pinged Vlad on it, and he said he was looking into it.
Yes, I got an email from Erin.
Oh, awesome.
She wants to have a conversation about this. I told her tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for confirmation when we're going to talk about this.
Awesome. Okay. Next up is if CSI implements mount device. So mount device is still outstanding. David, do you want to give updates on the status of mount device?
Yeah, it's still the same as on Monday. Jia is looking at it now, so I think he said he'd review it today or tomorrow. And yeah, look, it's looking like it's probably going to go in. It just needs some final review.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Next up is see if we can change the allow privilege flag to true by default. I don't think there's any updates there, and Chakri is gone, so we'll skip that. Passing in supplemental group, we'll skip that, and we're done with this. CSI credentials, I need to sync up with Sergey offline on the design to help move this forward. The CSI side of things, he already has a PR out for, and that PR has been approved by me and needs to be approved by others in CSI. For the probe stuff, we'll skip that since Chakri is not here. Topology is a to-do on me. I have to get started on that this week. Mount device, David just gave us an update. And then allowing drivers to not implement the status if not necessary. This issue was opened in CSI, and someone in the CSI community, James from Mesos, is happy to drive it. So we'll pick it up for this quarter. Then for the external components, automated build system is green, thanks to Luis. Next up is test for external sidecar containers. Any updates here, Dave? Luis?
Sorry, no. I need to create a project also.
Okay.
We need to do, so I'm still on the hook for that.
Cool. Next up is unit testing framework validation for CSI drivers, which is green. Automatic push into Quay.io. It sounds like that's in the works and should be done soon.
Yes. And on the CSI Sanity, have you guys heard anything about it? Anybody using it yet? I'm just curious because, I pushed it out there. I sent an email. And
I have not heard anything since. Yeah, we can bring it up in the community meeting again.
Okay.
Are you in touch with Julian at all?
I sent an email to the community group, and I haven't.
Okay, maybe send a message to Julian as well and say, "Hey, we've got this thing, and we're interested in merging and figuring out what the next steps here are. What do you think?"
Okay.
Next up is external components should probe. This is blocked until we have clarification on the CSI call. Automated build system for drivers, and everything below that is P2, so we'll skip over that.
Just one thing. And I still have that PR for drivers that uses CSI Sanity, and it's still frozen there. I'm just going to check it in and start failing.
Yeah, I think Chakri was the reviewer on that. I'm okay with that. Maybe double check with Chakri just to make sure he's okay. Like ping him on Slack or something.
I think that it's been waiting there for so long. I'm just going to check it in. If we ever want to, I can pull it out.
Okay,
So
that seems reasonable to me. Okay. Overall, I think we're making good progress. We still have some big issues that need to get resolved within the next few weeks before code freeze. But great work, everyone. Let's keep at it and drive this thing to beta. We can end early today if there's nothing else anybody wants to discuss.
I have a question.
Yes.
I mean, if we have a couple of minutes. So, if I understand right, the next revision of the CSI spec will bring the changes which will break the current state of things.
Yep.
And I was wondering if we can start like early work. We know exactly which changes will break, let's say, the core CSI in the Kubernetes.
Yeah.
I could pull those changes and then start, adjusting the code to make sure that basically when it goes official 0.0, then I mean we will already have a PR with the required changes on the Kubernetes CSI side.
That is a great idea. Are you offering to work on this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm still, I'm waiting for a credential, so I'm in kind of a bit idle at this point. So I could.
That's perfect. Awesome. Okay, let's do that. Well, that's going to be a P0. We want to move from 0.1 to 0.2. So what you could do is grab the head version of CSI, build it against that, and get all the changes staged and ready. And then once 0.2 is cut, we can update to that. That's a really good idea.
One thing that could really help me is to have those breaking changes in the CSI spec as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will need to merge two pools. So it's doable, but it's just messy. That's all.
Yeah.
Shouldn't the community of CSI create a small document that says these are the changes for our developers? Because if not, it's gonna be very difficult to go from version to version.
That would be very nice, and I think as the process gets more processy, that's going to start to happen. Right now, before 1.0, I think we should start that process.
Yeah.
But I think it'll honestly end up just being, here's the 0.2 release. Look at the PRs that are part of it. And
look at the diff. Good luck.
That's a good idea. It's worth raising at the CSI community meeting.
Yeah. Just one thing, the Canary push from Travis for driver register worked. So that is done.
Nice.
So I'm just going to do that for external provisioner and external attacher.
Awesome. That is good news. Okay, let me copy that up here. All right, cool. All right, anything else you guys want to talk about? All right, great. Then we'll reconvene on Friday. All right, take care.
Hey. Thanks, Saad, bros.
Good.
Take care, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.